Hello and welcome into another pickups video. Yeah, the charity shop stuff is now out the way, so this is all stuff that I got online. The first two I'm going to show off is like stuff that I should have shown ages ago. I think I got these two in July, but yeah, let's get in anyway. I'm going to start off by showing SIBO, Enemy of the State. This came out in 2000. Believe this is his sixth album. Yeah, this is the first album he put out on his own label after leaving AWOL Records. He started up his own label called West Coast Mafia Music, and this is his first release on there. This feels like the proper follow up to Till My Casket Drops in '98. This feels like the proper follow up to that. Similar kind of sound, and it's just a much better album than that horrible The Final Chapter album. This is way better than that. It's still not a great album. It's kind of it's decent. It's the beats are good, but not like amazing. And SIBO is he raps pretty well on this album, but I prefer his older stuff. You know what I mean? But it's still not a bad album. It's a pretty good album. It's got some good features. You got the likes of Daz Dillinger on here, Dub C, Yuckmouth, JT the Bigger Figure, Too Short. You know what I mean? Pretty good feature list and stuff like that compared to Final Chapter, which was mostly nobodies. And yeah, just a really long album and stuff like that. But it's pretty good though. It's not bad. I like 4.6 of Killer Tay. It's probably my favorite song in here. So yeah, not a great album, but it's not bad. It's pretty decent. I only got it for £5 brand new, so you can't go too far wrong with that. But yeah, SIBO with Enemy of the State that came out in 2000. Next up, I'm going to show off Villain, Scandalous But True. This is his first album. Came out in 1994. I never really see people talk about this album at all. Villain, he was an MC from Chicago, Illinois. Despite that, though, this is a very West Coast sounding album. You can tell he was heavily influenced by Ice Cube and like the Lynch Mob and stuff like that. That's actually how I would describe this album. Like, just imagine him being like a long lost like Lynch Mob member, and that's kind of what this album sounds like. Similar kind of production style. He actually does all the beats himself, which is pretty impressive. He does a good job. It's a pretty decent album, and when I see people online talk about it, people don't seem to think it's very good, but I think it's a decent album. I think it's pretty good, man. Songs like Blackout, that's pretty good. I like Gun Happy, it's a pretty good song. Uh, this is it, y'all. Yeah, it's a pretty good album. It's not great, but it's enjoyable. It's a pretty cool album. My main problem though, this album commits a sin, in my opinion, a music sin. I hate it when the music video version of a song sounds one way and then the album version sounds another way. The song Set Trip, and I love the music video version, but the album version is okay, but it's not as good as the music video version. The music video version is really dope. There's even a remix of Set Tripping called the Jeep Funk Mix, but that's not it either. That's some other versions. So yeah, that's pretty disappointing. But still, not a bad album. I think it's pretty cool. But just because it came out on the opposite like way of looking at it, just because it came out in '94 doesn't mean it's a classic either. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's still pretty cool though. I recommend people checking it out. Make up your own mind about it. Next up, we got EPMD with Out of Business. This is their sixth album. This is like signals the end of their little short reunion at the time. They came back in '97 with Back in Business, which I think is a pretty dope album. And then they sort of broke up again shortly after this album came out. I know a lot of people don't like this album. I actually do. I think it's actually a pretty cool album. I can understand why people don't like it. There's not a lot of like super standout songs, but I just think overall it's a solid album. The beats are still pretty good, and Eric and Parrish still deliver on the mic and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's an enjoyable album. It's a pretty easy listen. It's like 46 minutes or so. And yeah, I thought it was enjoyable for what it was. Symphony 2000, that's just a really dope song. And I like the Symphony, the version with MOP as well. That's good as well. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed it. I know it's considered like their weakest album out of the first six, but yeah, I still enjoyed it anyway for sure. I never checked out their last album, We Mean Business, that came out in 2008. I've never heard that, but yeah, I'm happy to have the first six EPMD albums anyway. It's a very strong catalog of music right there. And yeah, if this was their last album, it would be a pretty good way to go out, in my opinion. So yeah, I like it. Out of Business, solid album. It's not massively different from Back in Business. I could see some people's, I could sort of understand. Like it sort of sounds like leftovers from Back in Business to an extent, but I still like it. Still think it's a good album. Next up, we got Fushnikins, FU, Don't Take It Personal. This came out in 92. This is a dope album. Brooklyn trio, known for their kind of over the top style, over the top lyrics. Especially Chip Fu on the right there. He's got a crazy style. He raps so fast, it's very hard to keep up with him at times, but it's fun to try and keep up with him for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think these guys have good ear for production, and just hearing them kind of go wild over the top of it's pretty entertaining. Um, I really love the song "Last Move," which is like one of the main singles, featuring Five Dog from A Tribe Called Quest. Really, really dope song. Really enjoy that. Heavenly Father is dope as well. Props is a dope song. Good album. I enjoyed it. I thought it was dope. So yeah, Fushnikins, FU Don't Take It Personal came out in '92. Next up, I also got their follow up to that, Nervous Breakdown, came out in 1994. I like this just as much as the first one. I actually might like it a little bit more. I think this album just bumps a little bit more beat wise, and yeah, little bit grittier sounding over the first one. Not much though, but it's still the same style, but just a little bit harder production. Yeah, I love the first two songs, Breakdown and Some Dumb Monkey, really good singles. This also has the song What's Up Doc, Can We Rock, featuring Shaq, which I believe originally appeared on Shaquille O'Neal's first album, Shaq Diesel, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that was actually the first song Shaquille O'Neal actually recorded, was with the Fushnikins, because they were actually his favorite group at the time, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I thought it was a dope album. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Sneak It Up On You, got it covered. It's a good dope album. I might like it more from the first one. I'm not sure. Need to listen to them both more, but they're both dope albums, and they're both short albums too. Like they don't outstay their welcome. You couldn't listen to these guys for like a long, long time. You know what I mean? It's just like dope. Hits you in the head and then it bounces. You know what I mean? It's done. I enjoyed it, and this is they only have two albums, which is a shame. So yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, I enjoyed both of these albums. I think they're pretty good, pretty dope stuff. Next up, we've got the Gravediggers with their second album, the Pick the Sickle and the Shovel. This came out in '97. I know a lot of people don't like this album. I can totally understand why. It sounds nothing like their first album. The first album, 6 Feet Deep or Nigga Mortis or whatever you want to call it. The that album was a full-on horrorcore album. You know what I mean? Very dark, over-the-top album. Awesome. Love that album. This sounds more like a Wu-Tang affiliate album. You know what I mean? And a big part of that is the fact that all the beats were done by RZA and like Wu-Tang affiliate producers. Prince Paul didn't really have anything to do with this album, despite being on the cover. He didn't really have anything to do with it, unfortunately. But despite that, though, on its own merits, good album. I think it's actually a good album on its own merits. If you take it for what it is and just listen to it with an open mind, and no, if you don't compare it to the first album, I think it's good. I think it's a dope album. I think the three rapping members, the RZA, Too Poetic, and Freakwon, I think they all do a really good job on here. And the beats are good. It's just completely different style to their first album. But songs like Pit of Snakes, that's really dope. Repentance Day, I really like that song. The Night That the Earth Cried, I believe that was a single. That's a good song too. Dangerous Minds. I think it's a pretty good album, in my opinion. But yeah, just very different. You know what I mean? Just very different. But yeah, I like that. Pick that one up for cheap. Well, all of these were cheap actually, to be honest. This one is a bargain. This was a good bargain buy. Yeah, really happy to get this one. It is Goldie within the Land of Funk. This album is long out of print and usually goes for a lot of money, but I got a bargain price for it, which is great. Goldie, he was a member of the Dangerous Crew with the likes of Too Short, Ant Banks, Pee Wee, Ant Dilly Dog and Rappin' Ron and all these people, Father Dom, etc., etc. This is a pretty dope album. If you like, Ant Banks and all these people that I mentioned, then you'll definitely like this album. Same kind of production style. The first three songs and the last three songs are produced by Ant Banks, which I think is pretty smart sequencing because the album starts off with some bangers and it ends with some bangers, and then the middle isn't quite as good, but it's still good. Do you know what I mean? It's just not as good as the beginning and the end. So, but it's pretty smart sequencing in my opinion. I love the song "The Game Is Sold Not Told" featuring Too Short, which has a music video and stuff. I think that's a really dope song. Time Put the Goldie on Top. That's a great song too. Gotta Get My Mail. Yeah, love the beats on here, really dope. Even the stuff that Banks didn't do, the stuff that was just done by the other members of the Dangerous Crew, still dope production. And I like Goldie, he can actually rap pretty fast. He's like the opposite of Too Short in a way because Too Short's got a very simplistic kind of style. Goldie can really tear it up if he wants to. You know what I mean? He can rap, he can spit pretty quick. So yeah, like it quite a bit. Think it's a pretty dope album. So yeah, Goldie and the Land of Funk. If you can get your hands on it, then I recommend it. Let me just take a swig of drink here. Okay, right. More Bay Area stuff now. We got In Too Deep with their second album, 24/7 365. Yeah, these guys are from Vallejo, California. I pretty much only knew of them before the song "Back to the Hotel," which is from their first album. And when I first heard that song, I thought I didn't like it. To be honest, I thought these guys were really not good whatsoever. But that song did grow on me after a while. I have to admit, mainly because of the production. The production's dope, and that's kind of the same thing for this album. Um, I'm not a big fan of these guys as MCs. They're like very mediocre in my opinion, but the beats are banging. The beats are really dope. Check out songs like "Who Ride" and "Something Freaky." They're really cool sounding songs, and they're not the worst rappers in the world, but they're just not that great. You know what I mean? Imagine, I can't help but imagine, like a better MC going over these beats. It would have been a better album, but yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad whatsoever. I got this brand new for £2, so I couldn't say no. Like OG press and everything sealed for £2. I couldn't go wrong with that. But yeah, no one, people don't really seem to talk about these guys that often. The only time they do talk about them is that first album with back to the hotel. But that's it. But this is their second album. They actually have. They recorded a follow-up album to Back in the Hotel that was in like '93, but it got shelved by Profile Records, and they got dropped, and they ended up having to make another album. Isn't it? That's crazy, isn't it? But the good thing is they managed to get that out like later on in the like 2000s. They got the rights to it, and they were able to put it out, which is cool. But yeah. It's not a bad album. It's pretty cool. I like the beats on it, but yeah, not the best. They're not the best MCs in the world, that's for sure. Next up, more Bay Area stuff. We got the Loonies with their second album, Lunatic Music. Most people don't like this album. I like it. I actually do like it. It's not super great, but I personally do enjoy it. It's a varied album. There's some pretty good guest features on here. Guys like Too Short on the song "Funkin' Over Nothing," which is one of the best songs in the album. Which sort of signaling the end of the Too Short and Looney's beef. Who else? E40 and Be Legit. Ipple and MJG, Raphael Sadiq, Three Times Crazy, Redman, and Two Live Crew. So it's like very varied, features, and the songs are quite varied too. So you'll never really know, um, you know, it's one of those. It does a good job of being like cohesive, but at the same time, quite a lot of different beat styles in this album. The beats aren't like that good, but they're decent. You know what I mean? They do the job. And personally, I like the album. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've actually listened to it quite a lot of times for whatever reason. I've listened to it quite a lot, and I don't know. I got into it. I enjoyed it. My favorite song on here is probably either "Funkin' Over Nothing" or I like "Sad Millionaire." That's a pretty good song. And I really like "Hypnotized" with Redman, which was a single actually produced by Redman as well. So it actually sounds more like a Redman song with featuring the Loonies rather than the other way around, but it's still a good song. Yeah, I personally enjoyed it. I think most of the songs on it are pretty fun and enjoyable. It's just like it doesn't sound anything like their first album, really, and I can understand why people don't like it. It doesn't really have like a big single like the way the first album did, Operation Stack Cola, with I Got Five on it. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a good album. Make your own minds up on it. You know what I mean? Check it out for yourself if you haven't. And in fact, I like it so much. I got two copies. No, not really. This one showed up in terrible. It's in terrible condition. It's got bits of dirt all over the show. I don't know if that shows up really. No, not really. It looks okay on camera, but it's terrible condition. So I got a refund on that, and I got another copy. So yeah, Lunatic Music by the Loonies. I liked it, but a lot of people don't. So there you go. That's that. I don't know why the frame rate seems to be a bit lower for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I might call it there and save the rest of these for next time. Yeah, just a lot of a lot of talking today, and I think that's enough for now anyway. But yeah, still got some other stuff to show off for the next time. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Thank you.